You've got questions, we've got answers.
And I think that makes your pathway to university a lot easier.
The brain,
especially the first year if you pick the right subjects in year 11 and 12.
Information.
Here, and those signals run down through the spine.
Here in our studio, we'll be bringing you the answer to these questions and more. Join us for InfoMate. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of InfoMate. Now, almost everyone would have worked for someone throughout their lives, had an employer of some description, so they've been an employee. Now, they all would have thought, what if I take my skills and my skill set and work for myself? Well, to help us answer these questions on what we need to be aware of when starting a small business and some points we need to keep in our mind, we're joined here today by the Secretary of Industry and Trade, Dr. Azhar Mahmood Nasser Saab and Ahmed Ibrahim Saab. Thank you very much for joining us on today's program, Azhar Saab, Ibrahim Saab. Appreciate you guys coming in. Now, Azhar Saab, what is a small business to you?
Thank you. Small business, basically, if we start from business, it's basically delivering the goods and services. And when we think of a small business, obviously it's of a small scale where you have a few employees,
Yes.
maybe you yourself,
Yep.
or you have a couple of guys working for you, or you may have a small scale where the turnover is within certain limits.
Yes. Excellent. And Ibrahim Saab, you agree with that?
I agree with this definition because
Yep.
basically when you are working for someone,
Yes.
it's a job, it's an employment, and when you're working for yourself, it becomes a business.
Yep.
And yes, that's the way it goes.
Oh, excellent. Now, Azhar Saab, why would you go into small business? Why would you want to not work for someone but do your own thing?
It all actually depends on how actually we start our career. Now, when we think of the business where I am, which is in the consulting industry,
Yes.
Sooner you graduate, basically you start from working for someone, but then you come to a point where you think that when whatever you are doing for someone, why can't you deliver on your own?
Yes.
And that gives that passion and that gives that courage, that if you can start delivering that level of service and that those goods to the industry on your own, then basically that's where you start thinking, why not set up your own business?
Yeah.
And that has actually happened to me.
Oh, excellent. And so how long have you had your own business now?
I started in 2009,
Yep.
so it's approximately now coming into 9 years.
Oh, mashallah. And Ibrahim Saab, yourself?
I started my company in 2010,
Yes.
and it's almost 8 years now.
Okay. Have you had the
And-
similar experience? So previously you started after you graduated working in the industry first?
Yes, I graduated from UTS,
Yes.
University of Technology, Sydney, and then I worked for a company for 5 years. And in those 5 years, I realized that I could do few things on my own as well. So I thought to give it a go, and I kept on doing the job and started my own company, like along with that as well. But like after a year, I thought like I should give it more time.
Yeah. So
And
you did
since
a
then,
bit of a slower transition over.
definitely yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say some of the strengths are for having your own business?
Look, whenever you start your own business, first of all, I think it's good to analyze yourself, what your skills are, and basically what you want to do. Is it a viable business in a certain country? Okay, if I talk about Australia, suppose if you're a coin collector and you think that it can become a business, you need to give it a thought
Yep.
that it can be a hobby or it can be a business.
Yes.
If you cannot generate any income from that, it cannot be a business. Keep it as a hobby and do something else.
Yep.
But if you are in the industry and you can deliver a few things which can generate some funds, I think that's how I started. I thought like if I could give architectural design service or building design service on my own,
Yep. Bit of consulting
that
for-
can
Maybe you
yeah.
start in your own
Yes.
business. And as a sub, yourself, so there's both strengths and weaknesses to having your own business.
Yes.
What are your opinions on those strengths and weaknesses?
It's I think really good SWOT analysis,
Yep.
where running your skills for someone else. Basically, yes, you have a 9 to 5 type of work environment, going to office, sticking to the seat, and then coming back home, and then may have your weekends just available for you. May have more opportunities to spend time in the after hours. But having your own, it means that you can be multitasking. You will have more flexibility in terms of utilizing your your strengths,
Yep.
and that can be even you will be more efficient. You will be using your skills in a way that can be more productive.
Yep.
So your day or your week or your month may be producing something with a factor where actually you are doing for someone,
Yep.
but once you start doing for yourself, it may enhance quite significantly. It may go basically beyond what you have expected.
That's exactly right. So there are both, like we mentioned, strengths and weaknesses to your own business. I know a lot of people find it the leap to go into their own business quite a scary one, because there is risk versus reward. Now, what are some of the risks, Ibrahim Saab, to take that leap and start your own business?
I think like that point again, if you make a start
Yep.
without giving it a proper thought, that's the biggest risk. Whenever you start a business, do a proper analysis, maybe just 2 pages, but write down about yourself, what you can do and what your skills are and what you can deliver. If you don't know what you are going to deliver and next day you just open a company without complete knowledge of what you can deliver and what the market expectation is, there are more chances to fail. So that's the first thing. If you know or yourself or what you can deliver, only then start. That's the biggest risk. The second risk is don't expect everything next morning. Everything takes time.
You have to work towards it.
Yes. So like when you do a job, you get used to getting paid every fortnight or every month. That's not going to happen in business. You need to wait for it. And that's the biggest scary factor for a lot of people who have a family, who have mortgages to pay.
Yeah.
So that you need to consider before getting into any business. Other than that, I think I can only talk about Australia because I worked here. If you work hard and if you can deliver, there is a market for everything in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent to hear. And as a sub, yourself?
Yeah, I think I agree to Ibrahim Saab's
Yep.
basically take of these points. What I would say that there are risks.
Yep.
There's no doubt, but even if you are at job, you still have a risk of redundancy. You still have a risk of something that goes beyond like your control.
Yep.
You may have friction with the colleagues. You may have some issues at the workplace. So this is where you can cover most of these type of issues when actually you are running on your own.
Yeah.
Plus, when you have a better control on your strength, and when you pass on those strengths to your employees or your contractors who work for you, basically you have a better control on how do they deliver.
Yep.
And how much perfect you can be in terms of your deliverables, and this is where then you start basically capitalizing on it.
So it just depends on how you go about it, your experience and your research into the industry as you're going along. Both sides have both strengths and weaknesses, so it's good to try and outline some. Now, as a sub, what sort of structures would you use if you were setting up a new business now?
Someone, if they are thinking of starting a business, it can be a sole trader.
Yeah.
It can be a trust,
Yeah.
a family trust. It can be a partnership where you find another buddy who has certain strengths and you basically share care and then proceed, or it can be a company. It all depends on what sort of environment and what sort of perspective you are working in and you want to work from.
Yeah. So it all depends on their personal situation.
Personal situations as well as level of thinking,
Yep.
plus whatever you have learned up until now. For example, few people may have something inherited.
Yep.
So they capitalize on whatever is the goodwill their forefathers have made on.
Yep.
But few people just started on after having a few years or decades of experience working for someone else.
Yep.
So it's the perception, and it's the knowledge of the market and the skills and your qualifications where you are able to deliver.
Yeah.
And this is where you have to assess yourself that you must be able to deliver.
Yes.
The reason being that in the first world, for example in Australia, if you are jumping into the environment where you want to deliver on your own name, then obviously you need to have insurances.
Yes.
And these insurances then basically give you hard time if you keep on making mistakes in terms of your deliverables.
Yes.
It can be an ill advice, and it can be a rotten product.
If you were to start a company from scratch, where would be the best place to start at the moment? Do you need to get a name or a business name registered?
You can start, let's say, my name is Azhar Nasir. I can call from Azhar Nasir service provider
Yes.
or Azhar Nasir engineers. That can be a starting point. But you can have a business name. For example, my company starts from Safe Australia,
Yes.
which has some sort of like construction industry touch of safety aspects,
Yes.
plus also the specialization which actually we deliver.
Yep.
So it can be any name, and for you to keep that name with you, you need to basically register that name.
Correct.
Because you are taking a high risk where, say, you have spent few years in the industry, you have got a good name, you have not registered it. Someone can register that name and then take all the reputation out of you.
Correct. And Ibrahim Sab, after you've registered a company or a business, however you want to structure your new business, what are some of the insurances that you might need?
When I got registered, first of all, I just want to elaborate on this one as well. There's so many things you need to do, and if you don't have a proper business education background, sometimes you miss on few things. When I started my own company,
Yep.
I straight away went to an accounting firm. They guided me how to go about things,
Excellent.
and they guided me to open a PTY Ltd. So.
Yep.
That's how I started, and actually they guided me about the insurances and everything. So sometimes when you seek professional help, you may save some time, because my
Professional
time
advice.
in design is more
Yes.
important.
Correct.
So I thought, if I'm a design specialist, somebody who is an accounting and who can specialize in those things can help me out. So yes, initially we got professional indemnity.
Yep.
That was important, and since we were working on a commercial in a commercial area, so we got public liability.
Okay.
And initially we didn't get workers' comp, and as soon as we were in a position to hire some employees, we straight away got worker comps for our employees, and then the other structure which comes with it, like you have to sort out the superannuation structure for your
Correct.
employees and everything.
So the professional indemnity covers yourself as a consultant, the public liability covers the general public who are involved with
Yes.
the company, and then the workers' comp is for any staff members that you might have.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Now, as a sub, after the insurances, should there be any skills or qualifications that you think you might need when you're starting?
Definitely, because this is where you are selling your skills.
Yep.
For instance, if I'm an engineer, I need to be proficient in terms of what I am delivering. Similarly, if someone is starting a business of bike repair shop,
Yep.
then he must be qualified in terms of repairing the bikes.
Correct.
And trading in terms of selling new bikes.
Yep.
And having a stock of whatever actually he wants to deliver. He can be on his own in terms of salesperson, or he may have other people to work for him. Similarly, someone wants to run a hair salon.
Yep.
He must be basically good in terms of doing that service.
Correct.
And this is where you have to start from what is your strength, what you can deliver, and that's a starting point from where you capitalize. For instance, if I'm an engineer, it means that people will come to me to take an advice to design their buildings. That can be shopping centers, that can be houses, that
Yep.
can be an institutional like schools or mosques.
Yep.
Or churches. If I'm not qualified to provide the advice, then what's the point in getting back to them?
Engage your services.
So that becomes the negative marketing, where you are sitting saying that yes, I can do, but unable to do.
Okay.
So that's where the starting point.
Excellent. So Ibrahim Sab, further on from the marketing point that Azhar Sab's brought up, you've set your business up, you've got some skills in the field that you want to operate your business. What are some tips that you can give on how to market your skills now to the wider public?
I can only give my example because that's how we developed our business. Initially, it was just word of mouth. And initially, it was a very little income which we generated from our word of mouth. But we tried to deliver something which was beyond their expectation. You always try to, like, if they are asking for X amount of work, you need to provide X plus something,
Yep.
which is either a wow factor or which becomes icing on the cake. If you deliver more than their expectation, they keep coming back to you. I think in Australian business environment, if you deliver good, if you deliver on time, people always keep coming back to you. So even today, our biggest clientele is not from any proper marketing. It's through our good work. It's the repeat clients which keep on coming back again and again, and you have to maintain that level of trust which you have developed with them. Other than that, yes, all these tools are very important as you grow and you're working outside a certain area where people cannot reach you physically. You need your website. You need to deal with those social media, and you need to promote yourself somehow, which could take your message out of your region or area to other places. So
you have to promote your business.
Yes.
It's just the various types of marketing, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. I will add into this
Yes.
at least one point into it, that since I have started my business,
Mhm.
I have a goal of introducing my business to at least one new person every week.
Wow.
Now, it basically can be any mummy daddy.
Yep.
It can be anyone who is a architect,
Mhm.
who is a builder, who is a developer, any networking. And this is where you have to then keep an eye on the networking platforms, and you have to introduce yourself. Even if I have given my business card to someone to whom I have met at a meeting where we are attending a conference, basically I have done my job introducing myself to a new entity.
Yep.
Because that new entity can come back to me sooner they come to know that yes, this person or this company is in business.
Excellent.
So if you keep on doing this on regular basis, for example, I have been doing one definitely new entity every week. It keeps on adding.
So that's just word of mouth. Now, a website's another good idea of a
Exactly.
marketing tool that you can set up. So if someone was to try and set up a website, is there any advice or tips you can give them, or places you can point them to be able to start setting up this website and domain?
We have got fruits of this one.
Yep.
For example, I did some work for my other previous employees,
Yep.
where actually I put that these are the type of work our engineers have delivered working elsewhere. And for instance, they were more on the niche market,
Yep.
specialized jobs. Not everyone do it. And when basically you do a Google search or any type of search where you put some keywords and come up with some sort of results, particularly in that specialized area, your website or your name comes over there, whether it's through LinkedIn,
Yep.
whether it is through your website, or whether any like Facebook, wherever you have put your strengths over there, it comes in front of someone, and anyone who is basically looking for who can do that job,
Yep.
they will then contact you. Now, the point starts from there, that
Yep.
once someone has thought about you, they will pick up the phone, and your office hours may be 9 a.m. starting, and if they ring you at 9:01
Yep.
and the bell is ringing and you are not picking it up, basically that's where you have lost.
Correct. No, it always happens. So Ibrahim Sab, when you set your website up, did you create a domain for your company, a website? Did you have someone create it, should I say, rather?
Yes, same thing. I always believe in, like, if somebody can do better thing in lesser time, that's the way to go. I would like to elaborate a little bit on what Dr. Azhar has just said. When you go into social media, or when you start your marketing aggressively, there's one thing which you should always keep in mind. Business is all about cash flow, whether it's a shop or it's a bank or it's a multinational or a very small bit, whatever it is. If you don't have a proper cash flow, you cannot run a business. Sometime, like, you should know your strength. Like, if you are a small business and you only have 5 employees and you try to reach 100,000 people,
It's not gonna happen.
if even 1% of that will start calling you back and you cannot attend to their calls, or you cannot attend to their requirements, basically it's a negative marketing.
Yeah.
So you have to analyze first how much time and how much money you can dedicate to marketing.
Yep.
Or like how much client you can afford at a time. So that's the first thing. Yes, when you when we got the website done, we went to a professional company and they helped us out, and the results are there. And even like because websites are getting more technical every day, as Dr. Sab says,
Yep.
like search engine optimization, and then you have to rely on other people who push you properly. We do that, and we also use Facebook.
Yeah. So you
For
use these
marketing.
tools of websites, Facebooks
Yes.
to generate leads, I guess, in your industries.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, we do, but just keeping in mind our capacity.
Yeah.
So that let's say if we start picking up the work beyond our capacity, then we get choked.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. And with the clients that you're developing, you're just always trying to maintain those relationships. You find that very important.
Exactly.
Now, if there was some advice you could give to someone who's just starting a business in whichever field it might be, what are some of the points that you can give them as a son?
Yeah, this has happened to me quite a few times because I am a National Secretary of Sanat Tijarat Trade and Industry over here, and that's where there are opportunities where I have to attend some sort of seminars of career fairs. And when this type of question comes up, sometimes I ask that person who is asking that question that what's in the back of their mind. And generally in the back of their mind is that they need to have at least 40, 50, 60,000 in their bank account to start with. That can't be the case. That is something which is totally hypothetical. If you have skills, if you have qualifications, if you have courage, you can even start from your backyard.
Yeah.
Because you have to sell your services. And if you look at the tools, like your phone is a tool, your laptop is a tool, and then basically anything where your vehicle is a tool. The problem is that it depends on what level of service you are trying to deliver.
Yep.
As long as you start delivering, you doesn't need to have a an open plan office where you think, oh, it has to be there before I
So you
start.
can start small.
But
and work
but
up.
you start from 1% to 2% to even 4%,
Yep.
and then start capitalizing in a way that depending on your cash flow, depending on your overheads,
Yes.
depending on your salaries and wages,
Yep.
how much you are making out of it to basically buy your assets.
Correct.
These assets can be computer program, these assets can be your tools, these assets can be more desks which you can afford the
So
rents.
your advice would be to start small and then work up from there.
Work up from there.
Yeah. And Ibrahim, what about you? What would be your advice? Any points that people should keep in mind, or any effort that they should make?
Yes. I strongly believe in mentorship.
Yep.
And when I was starting, I actually went to my mentor, and he actually guided me that make a business plan. Think what you can do and what you can deliver on your own, instead of promising something which you cannot deliver or for which you need help from others. So like, it's very important to make a business plan first, what
Yep.
you can do and what you can deliver.
Yep.
And we started from garage as well, from our garage, and then we went to a granny flat, and it took us 2 years to get into a proper commercial office. But alhamdulillah,
Yeah,
yeah,
alhamdulillah.
that's the way to go.
Now, as a sub, what are some of the regulations or bodies in place that might help you while you're running your own business?
I would start from, let's say, ASIC, which
Yep.
is Australian Securities and Investment Commission, where we are expected to register, as I mentioned earlier, for the sake of registration of our name.
Yep.
Because as we are maintaining a good name, someone can steal that name and use it for their
sure.
purposes. So this is where we are given a security that whatever name we are running, it is secured.
Okay.
That also gives a database in the government that how many businesses are registered.
Yep.
And that's where renewals are come into place, and then there are also deactivations wherever the database goes up and down. Other than ASIC, you basically think of talking to ATO,
Yep.
Australian Taxation Office, where what actually you are expected to do is that every quarter you have to submit your business activity statement. You can do it yourself, you can do it through accountant. It's your choice.
Yep.
It's simple for small business, and this is where government generally encourages. Now, there is a reason for government encouraging for small businesses, because they don't want people to just sit in their home waiting for job.
Yeah.
They want them to think of that, yes, if they are not finding a job, why not they basically sell themselves as a business. So a one man can be, and this is where you don't need a full accountant to prepare your business activity statement. You can do it yourself. But as you grow, it is advisable to seek professional advice, particularly from a qualified accountant, to give you the taxation regulations, ASIC regulations, so that you do not make these type of
They
mistakes.
can give you a bit of a framework on how to operate your small business.
Exactly.
Excellent. Now, Ibrahim Sab, the government's got some concessions available for small businesses. Do you want to just tell us what sort of concessions they might be?
I think government is always helpful in this regard. Anyone who has any sort of skill, they can even start from their home. They can start from their garage if they are working legally, if they are putting their invoices legally and they are charging their clients GST. And if their business is registered, there are certain concessions on that. And as Dr. Sarah has said, accountants are there to help you out in getting some rebates from the government. And if you spend some amount on your continuous education, there are some allowances on that as well. And that is very important. If you do something and you don't upgrade your knowledge every other day, you will become redundant after a while. So it's very important to get knowledge of those grants and keep updating yourself every day, so you just keep yourself business running, keep your business running.
And as a sub, similar to what further on from what Ibrahim Sab was saying, upskilling yourself along your career, how important is that?
Oh, it is pretty, because this is what we generally call as continuing professional development, CPD, and particularly in the business we are, there are checks on us from the organizations where we are registered as practitioners, that they keep a check of that, okay, this many hours we have spent in a certain period of time, and there is an audit of this one. But one thing is the audit and the check, but the other thing is from business point of view, you need to have this thing for the sake of your business to stay on track and stay current. You cannot ignore this thing that, okay, wherever the others are flying that high, why are you just staying at the ground?
Thank you very much for joining us as a sub, Ibrahim Sab. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as we've learned today, there's plenty of risk and reward in starting your own business. Now, people shouldn't be afraid to start their own business. You need to give it your 100% effort when you first begin, and keep all the points that we've mentioned in mind. And don't be afraid to seek professional advice. Thank you very much for watching another episode of InfoMate from MTA International, Australia Studios. Jazakumullah and Khudafiz.